Hi, Gemini. This is Carrie Mubarak at wooingnature.life. I hope you're having a great day and a great month. This is your October reading for 2019. So today I am going to be reading from Colette Baron Reed's The Enchanted Map. I'll be pulling 3 cards from her deck, and then I will also be working with the King Solomon deck. And last but not least, I'll be pulling from the tarot just to clarify and clean up toward the end. So month of October is we're fully into the fall season. The fall season is normally when we talk about harvest and harvesting. This is when people harvest their food and also prepare for the winter. So there's a couple of things happening during this period of time, and that is understanding and reaping your harvest, looking at where you've been since the fall of last year this time. Look at what you have put into the universe, the intentions that you put into the universe, and then seeing what's come back from those intentions, and then using the energy that you have, or the energy that has been built up from the summer. You know, you have the sun energy, and everybody is, usually happy and vacationing and relaxing. So all of that energy that you have stored up from the summer, you're now using that to prepare yourself for the winter season. Winter season is a time when people kind of go in, where they're more quiet, pensive, reflective. But it's also a time when a lot of people experience depression, and sadness, and are can sometimes it can sometimes be a time of a lot of grief. And so this period of the fall is just to fortify yourself and strengthen yourself. The other thing that happens in the winter months is it's cold and flu season. So preparing yourself now for that time really makes sense. So I don't know if you all might be too young to know about tonics, but this is the time that you're drinking your tonics and cleansing your blood and your lymphatic system, and just, clearing everything out and giving your organs and your innards like a really a head start. I'm going to say a head start on the winter. So be thinking about that as we're moving into October. Last month was a time of assessment and analysis, looking at, what's happening in your life, how are things going, that kind of thing. So now that we're fully into fall, then you're just preparing for the winter, and also continuing to make some of those assessments about, where you were from the summer. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started, Gemini, with you all. So just asking for 3 cards to just give us some direction and some focus for Gemini for the month of October. Direction and focus for Gemini for the month of October. Cut and ready to go. So the first things up is the Dragon's Lair, followed by Unexpected Visitors. Gotten that twice this season or this time. And then we have Followed the Leader. All right, so I'm going to start right here in the middle with the Dragon's Lair. The Dragon's Lair is, to me, what comes up sometimes when we're trying to ascend, when we're trying to make our ascensions. You have to, when we talk about spiritual ascension, there's a set of there's processes that come along with ascension, right? One of the processes is understanding the territory that would be considered, I'm going to say, dangerous for you, or not good for you, or it's the area that you probably don't need to energetically be in. You want to be mindful. You want to do your prayers for protection, and you also want to be watchful of the things that are coming your way, right? So it's okay to make the climb, but sometimes you got to look at what that climb is and how you're going about it. Ascension from a spiritual standpoint is about going in yourself and resolving issues, resolving things that keep you on a lower vibration, right? But some people, ascension is like getting a better job, or, climbing up the corporate ladder, or something to that effect. And what I'm saying is to be mindful about the period that we're in right now and what it really is about. Climbing the corporate ladder is one thing, but making a spiritual ascension is another thing. So what I'm saying to you, Gemini, is to focus on your spiritual ascension and not on, trying to get to some kind of um, what I call, Mammon's law. So there's a law of the creation, and then there's Mammon's law, or man's law. And so, if you are, focusing on the physical, focusing on the material, or really just focusing on, some kind of ego-driven process, then you'll want to back down off of that and really focus on your inner self. Okay. I feel like this card has a lot of tower. If you all are familiar with the tarot, it has a lot of tower energy around it. The tower energy really does deal with the ego, and it also deals with um, um, things or events or actions or activities or something that happens out of the blue that kind of shakes you up and puts you in a different position or puts you in a different place, right? So if you are feeling this, like if you're feeling like I'm climbing up this ladder and it's going nowhere, or if you feel like you're just like driving yourself on straight ambition or something like that, or if you're doing something that really is about aggrandizing your ego and not about aggrandizing your soul or your spirit, then you want to shift that paradigm for yourself. You want to shift that paradigm because it can be like, a danger zone for you if you're not careful. Keep your head on. Um, Keep your head on straight. Like, think yourself through the process and really go within, Gemini. That's what I'm going to say about that. All right. So we also have unexpected visitors. Unexpected visitors is like, it's like expecting the unexpected. That's what I was talking about with this. Unexpected things that may come from wherever. And that can be anything from a shakeup at a relationship shakeup. It could be something that someone says to you that just like jars you and it's like, oh, or, allows you to have a revelation. There's a spectrum of that. And so what I'm getting from this card is just to kind of expect the unexpected in terms of people or in terms of situations as well. You want to keep your door open to things that are positive for you, again, that lean away from the ego-driven efforts. You want to leave some space open for that, but you also want to be mindful about, I guess like opening yourself up to, things that you may be calling in around it. I keep getting that, like your actions are calling in certain people and are calling in certain situations. And I feel like, Gemini, that this is about you trying to like make a material climb, make a, like I said, climbing the ladder, or, trying to get a whole lot of money because, you want to prove to somebody something or something to that effect. All of that stuff you want to try to just clear out and get out of your way. And then the last card is follow the leader. Follow the leader is about leading. It's about knowing who to follow, and it's also about being a follower, right? I'm not getting the sense, Gemini, that you're necessarily a follower, but there's a play between the leaders and the followers. Like in order to be a good leader, you have to understand the people that are following you, right? You have to have had that experience. If you want to be a good leader, you're not just a dictator that says, well, I want to do this. Again, we're talking about that's an ego thing. So it's not about stepping out front because you think you have the answers, right? Stepping out front and becoming a leader is about understanding the people that are following you and then leading them toward where it is they want to go. All right. And then in the reverse, if you are in the follower position, then you have to look at who is leading you. You have to pay attention to that. Pay attention to who you're following. And then also pay attention to whether or not you are being a good follower, right? Because the leader is leading, but they're not just randomly leading. Like there's things that you're learning along the way. There's a contribution that you are making. as the person who is following. I don't think people really necessarily see it that way. They kind of say, like, there's the leaders and then there's the followers, and the followers are just kind of, tagging along behind the leader. No, that's not really not what's happening. In those situations where there are groups of people that had to be led, these people, the people who are following are trying to get to a certain place, but they're also contributing to the movement. Okay, so movement is a key word here. If any of you are a part of any kind of growing movements, then you want to also look at leadership and where the leadership is, where their head is, how they're moving. It's a time of discernment right now, because if we look at leadership in general, just in general, don't think about yourself right now. Just think about the leadership, whether it's at your job or whether it's at work or whether it's your country or whatever. If you look at that as a model, and then apply that to your personal life, then you'll start to get a clearer idea of what it's going to take for us to, or for you, Gemini, or for us collectively to move in a positive direction. And like I said, this is a time of a lot of ascension. There's a lot of people going through an ascension process right now, energetically in the universe. It's just a lot of, this is the time for people making ascensions. And so there is following that has to happen. And then there is leadership positions that we have to step into. So Gemini, what I'm going to say as far as that's concerned is really know your position. Know what you're leading and why you're leading it, and let that not come from an ego place, but let that come from a place of love and a place of service. Because right now anyway, period. That's what's happening, okay? That's really what's happening. You're providing a service as a leader to others, to help others, okay? So you got to be really mindful about that. I think everybody needs to be mindful about that, not just you, Gemini, but, leadership is not, it's not an ego thing. It really isn't. So if you're going into leadership positions because, you want to make a lot of money, or because, you want to be the boss, then I don't know how that's going to go for you, because, again, we are going through a collective spiritual ascension process. And as we continue to make those ascensions, then the ego-driven processes and ego-driven motivations are not going to be rewarded, okay? And you'll end up creating a headache for yourself, or, having a whole lot of difficulties, more so than you getting what you thought you were going to get out of it. Some things ain't worth that money, you know what I mean? Or the notoriety. So just be mindful of that, Gemini. All right, I'm moving on here to King Solomon. Asking for King Solomon's wisdom now, to just clarify the reading that we have for Gemini for the month of October. I'm looking for Solomon's wisdom. We've got the number 12. Just looking for a couple more if those are available. Whatever you have available for Gemini from the wisdom of King Solomon. Wisdom of King Solomon. All right, been getting that one a lot too. Number 31. And the last one. Last one for Gemini, please. Ooh. Okay, I'll take them. All right, so we've got 21 and the number 2 in reverse. Number 21 and 2 in reverse. All right, so let's head right here to the number 12. And I will hold these up so you can see them in just a second. All right, so number 12 talks about control, authority, and leadership. This is in the position of the Dragon's Lair. Again, remember what I was saying to you about your motivations. Why are you trying to step up? What are your innermost reasons for that? Really excuse me, really unpack that, Gemini. That's really going to be important because, again, we're talking about leadership and stepping into positions of leadership. So we have leadership here, but we're talking about control and authority, being assertive, being willing to deal with whatever's coming up for you, taking control of a situation. Um, and then also if you need help from outside sources, then get your outside sources, get the help from the outside sources that you need. So we're talking about control, we're talking about authority, we're talking about leadership. That's in the place of the dragon's lair. I feel like, again, if it's about trying to keep and maintain control as opposed to truly being about ascending from a spiritual standpoint, then you want to be mindful of that. That's just jumping out at me over and over again for you, Gemini. So I don't know if some of you might be going through some things or whatever. The other thing that, when we start talking about control and ego, it really is about insecurity. So if you're nursing some insecurities, deal with the insecurity. That's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about your ascension process. You got to go in and deal with that stuff that really is bogging you down. And if you're insecure and so you're chasing an ego-driven thing, if you're chasing your ego as opposed to really dealing with the insecurity that makes you want to push the ego up more, then you're gonna, it's counterintuitive. It's you much rather want to just deal with the insecurity. And I know that sometimes people don't want to deal with that because it's painful, but that's when you call in your therapist and you sit on the couch and you work through your issues. Okay. All right, so number 31 is about change, beginnings, and endings, coming in the position where we're talking about the unexpected visitors coming in. So remember I was saying to kind of keep the door open, but don't, like remember what it is that how you're processing and how you're dealing with your ego stuff and being mindful about what you're bringing in and what's coming in. But also you want to be open, to what's coming too. So it is about being open, and we're looking at change in your life. We're looking at beginnings and ending. So ending one thing and starting something new. I'm really noticing in this card, I don't know if you can see it well. Yeah, that's a good angle. So this guy is walking along, but he's dragging kind of this uh empty person, like a person that is just an outline or just a sketch of a person. And like, to me, it's like dragging your old stuff into your new stuff. So again, I'm getting insecurities right here for you, Gemini, that need to be let go of or need to be released, releasing of control, so that the new things can come in and the change can come in. And so those things, those unexpected things that are coming in, can be positive unexpected things. All right, so that's number 31. And then for number 21, 21 talks about responsibility and preparation in the position of the leadership, following the leader. All right. So taking responsibility, again, knowing whether and why you're leading. If you're in a leadership position, if you're in the follower position, what's your responsibility as a follower? Are you helping? Are you assisting? And making sure that you're doing that. And it's also about preparation. So you're clearly preparing for something new. We got the new, we got the unexpected here. So it's really about preparing for something new and something probably extremely positive for you in your life. But it takes a little digging, Gemini. It's going to take a little digging. And the last card that I got is the number 2, which deals with the number 2 in reverse, which deals with your livelihood, your work, your career, your money, and that kind of thing. And so I'm feeling like, again, going back to this card, where are you going and what are you trying to do? If you're trying to climb the ladder and trying to do it really fast, deal with what's behind this. And I'm seeing that it could be about experiencing some kind of financial loss. It could be about um, your experience to date. Like if you have been a person who's been dealing with poverty or dealing with a poverty mindset or something to that effect, then it can, push you toward, doing better and that kind of thing. And I'm not trying to say don't do better for yourself. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is look at the angle from which you are trying to do that. You know what I'm saying? it won't be worth it to you in the end if you're just trying to get money, or, you know, move up the ladder just to satisfy your own base level stuff. You know, ego is at the base, you know, of who you are. It's not like you know, negate the ego, because the ego, you know, that's a part of your personality, but it doesn't belong up here. You know what I'm saying? It's not high on the priority list. So if you are having some financial difficulties, go within, deal with your insecurities, deal with, you know, your issues around leadership and around leading and following, and really clarify for yourself your position, because I'm getting that if you can clarify your position and your role, your true position, your true role from a spiritual standpoint, then it will inform the physical. It'll inform your pocketbook. It will inform you being, it will inform your physical position. I hope that makes sense. All right, so let's go to the tarot here. Moving into the tarot. Please clarify this spread, this reading for October for Gemini. Clarifying this spread, this reading for the Geminis for October 2019. Not getting anything. Not getting anything. All right, Gemini. I'll try one more time, see if we get anything. Anything else for Gemini? Any other advice for Gemini? Any other advice for Gemini for the month of October? All right, so I've got the Knight of Pentacles. Yep. This is about money. This is about things. It's about the material. And you're growing in that area, Gemini. That's what's happening. So it looks like a little growing pains here in October for you. You definitely have your mind on the material, right? It's something that's important, probably because of this financial loss, if you've had a financial loss, or if you're having difficulty with the finances. But it's a time of growth, and it is a time of rapid growth. Knights represent rapid growth. So, you know, it may feel tough. It may feel difficult. You may be going through some things in respect to this. What I don't want you to do is to jump into something and then end up having to, like, really, you know, have a lot to deal with around these lessons around money and worth and self-worth and all that kind of stuff. I'm really getting it clear that you're focusing on something that's related to the ego and not related to the spirit of who you are. So when you understand the spirit of who you are, and you are able to put yourself in the position that you know that you belong in, right? Then it's going to open up these doors. It's going to open that door. It's going to open you up to the unexpected and to some positive unexpected hopefully financial gains for you. But it's your angle. It's how you're approaching it. That's what the deal is. It's about how you're approaching the situation. You want to approach this, Gemini, not from the mental. And I know that that's from the, you know, like you're trying to think your way through it, because that's what Gemini does. They think and then they communicate. But in this situation, you're really going to have to go in, right? So you're going to have to communicate with yourself is what you're going to be doing, okay? And you're going to be guiding yourself too through this process. Let's see if there's anything else. Any other advice for Gemini people? Any other insight for my Gemini people for the month of October? Oh, that's it, Gemini. All right, lovelies. I hope that reading is meaningful to you. Please take everything to in and see where that fits for you. Hopefully it resonates with you and gives you some good guidance moving forward. If you need additional services, you can reach out to me at Carrie@wooingnature.life. And I hope you have a great October. And as always, I hope you're having a wonderful life.